The knife edge of sunset cut through the blinds of Ethan Cole's home office, painting amber stripes across his face as he stared at his phone. The security app notification had come through 5 minutes ago. Motion detected. Master bedroom, 2:47 p.m. Nobody should be home at this hour. Ethan's thumb hovered over the alert. 10 years of marriage had taught him to respect Sabrina's privacy. Maybe she'd come home early from her brand strategy meeting, but something cold twisted in his gut. The same feeling he used to get as a paramedic before walking into a scene that would haunt him. He tapped the notification. The footage loaded in chunks, their king-sized bed, the walk-in closet door ajar, shadows stretching across hardwood floors, then movement. Sabrina, her blonde hair falling across bare shoulders as she backed into frame. She wasn't alone. Somebody's hands pulled at her dress. "Jesus," Ethan whispered, feeling his world contract to the 5-inch screen in his palm. The man's face came into view. Derek Mercer. Not just any man, her divorce attorney, the one she'd casually mentioned hiring to review some brand contracts. Ethan's fingers went numb as he watched his wife lead another man to their bed. The bed where they'd conceived Lucas. The bed where just 2 nights ago she'd kissed him goodnight and whispered, "Love you, babe." He exited the app, unable to watch more, but a disturbing thought yanked him back. This camera, the one in their bedroom, Sabrina had accidentally unplugged it months ago, said it made her uncomfortable, but the system had recorded anyway, because it wasn't the primary camera. It was the backup he'd installed when the first one kept mysteriously malfunctioning. Ethan's security consultant instincts flared. This wasn't a one-time lapse. This was calculated. His phone buzzed with a text from Sabrina, running late. "Can you pick up Lucas from soccer?" He texted back with steady fingers. "No problem. Everything okay with the meeting?" Her response came quickly. "Exhausting but productive. Making big plans. Love you." Ethan set down his phone, the cheerful exclamation points mocking him. He'd been a paramedic before transitioning to security work after their son was born. He'd seen people die, held their hands as they took their last breaths. He thought he understood devastation. He didn't. 3 days later, he found himself sitting in his truck outside Lucas's elementary school, 30 minutes early for pickup. His son's iPad rested on the passenger seat, the one Sabrina had asked him to update before returning it to Lucas. Notifications kept appearing, messages between Sabrina and her mother. He shouldn't look. But then, a preview flashed across the screen. "Mom, are you sure this plan will work?" Ethan's not stupid. Ethan's thumb swiped before he could reconsider. "Sabrina, trust me, we document everything. Make him look emotionally unstable. That's how we get full custody." "Mom, and the prenup?" Sabrina, "Derek says we found a loophole. If I can prove emotional distress, we can access the safety clauses." "Mom, what safety clauses?" Sabrina, "The ones we're adding." Ethan's vision tunneled. The cold that had been growing inside him crystallized into something sharp, something dangerous. Later that night, after tucking in Lucas and enduring Sabrina's performative kiss on his cheek, Ethan waited until the house fell silent. Then he moved, with quiet precision, installing mirroring software on every device she owned. Not the amateur spyware that triggers antivirus, the professional-grade tools from his security consultant days. By dawn, he had access to everything: emails, texts, social media back channels. The raw truth of his life unfolded like a horror movie in slow motion. Emails between Sabrina and Derek Mercer dated back 9 months. Text messages with Jason Brenner, her ex-boyfriend turned social media consultant, going back even further. Google searches, how to hide assets before divorce and proving husband is unfit parent. And then the document that turned his blood to ice, a PDF labeled Cole_prenuptial_updated.pdf with Ethan's forged signature on an amendment he'd never seen. A clause allowing her 60% of all assets in primary custody if the marriage dissolved due to his emotional volatility or professional instability. Ethan leaned back in his chair, the blue glow of his laptop illuminating tear tracks he hadn't felt. Forming, their entire relationship had been rewritten in bits and pixels, his identity recast from loving husband to unstable threat. The photo albums she'd been posting told the story. Subtle changes in captions from "our adventure" to "my journey," filtered images showing Ethan distracted while she engaged with Lucas, careful frames suggesting growing distance. She was building a narrative, crafting evidence. He clicked through to her private Instagram account, the one her close friends followed, and found himself looking at a sonogram image posted 3 hours ago. Life finds a way, even when you least expect it. #blessed #new beginnings. 38 likes. 26 comments congratulating her. His phone rang, making him flinch. A number he hadn't seen in years, Dr. Michaels from the fertility clinic they'd visited after Lucas was born. The one who'd told Ethan his second bout with testicular cancer had left him completely sterile. Ethan, it's Dr. Michaels. Listen, something strange happened. Someone requested your medical records, specifically your fertility tests, claiming to be you. Our system flagged it. Are you aware of this? Ethan's voice sounded distant to his own ears. When was this? Yesterday afternoon. We denied the request. After hanging up, Ethan stared at the sonogram on his screen. Sabrina hadn't told him she was pregnant, because she knew it couldn't be his. His phone buzzed again. A text from Mitch, his former lab technician friend. You asked about those tests? Results are in. First, the urine sample shows HCG manipulation, basically a fake positive. Second, I ran that DNA swab against the sample you provided. You're definitely sterile, man. How are you holding up? Ethan didn't respond. He walked to their bedroom where Sabrina slept peacefully, her face relaxed in a way it never was around him anymore. The woman he'd built his life with was a stranger operating behind familiar features. Who are you? He whispered, though she couldn't hear him. He pulled the door closed and walked to Lucas's room. His son slept with one arm thrown around his dinosaur plush dark hair, so like Ethan's, falling across his forehead. Ethan gently brushed it back. I won't let her take you, he promised. Whatever it takes. Ethan discovered the art of controlled collapse. Each morning he left slightly later for work. His shirts grew more wrinkled. He'd pause mid-conversation as if losing his train of thought. Small, careful demonstrations of a man beginning to unravel. Sabrina noticed. Of course she did. She was looking for it. Are you okay, babe? She asked one evening, concern performatively creasing her brow as her hand caressed her still flat stomach. She hadn't announced the pregnancy to him yet. You seem distracted lately. Just work stress, he mumbled, playing his part while rage burned behind his ribs. I'm fine. You know you can talk to me about anything, she said, the sincerity in her voice so convincing that for a split second, Ethan questioned his own reality. After she went to bed, he drove to the small apartment he'd secretly rented 3 weeks ago, under a shell company name. There, he meticulously organized the evidence he was gathering. Bank statements showing movements to accounts he never opened. Recordings of phone calls between Sabrina and her lovers planning their next steps. But the crown jewel came from Jason Brenner's own mouth. Ethan had spent days creating the perfect bait, a deepfake video of Sabrina appearing to panic about their plan. He sent it from a spoofed number to Jason's phone. Jason, Ethan found something. I don't know what. He's acting weird. Call me back ASAP. The response was everything Ethan had hoped for. Calm down, Jason's recorded voice said urgently. Stick to the plan. Derek has the prenup covered. Just keep pushing the pregnancy story. Once you file, we trigger the mental instability clause. The judge sees a paranoid husband, an expectant mother, fearing for her safety. We get the house, primary custody. Your brand launches with the rising from cruelty narrative, and we're set. A pause. And remember, he can never know about us, not until after the settlement. If he finds out you're carrying my kid, the whole timeline falls apart. Ethan replayed the recording, a strange calm settling over him as the final piece clicked into place. He wasn't fighting for his marriage anymore. He was dismantling an operation. Mr. Cole, would you say you've been emotionally present for your family over the past year? Ethan sat across from Sabrina's new lawyer, a shark-eyed woman named Ellis Patel. The deposition room felt too small, too warm. Sabrina sat beside her attorney, eyes downcast, the perfect picture of a concerned wife. I've done my best, Ethan replied, his voice carefully modulated to sound defensive. Your best, Ellis repeated skeptically, and yet your wife reports finding you standing over her bed at night, just watching her sleep. Can you explain that behavior? Ethan's lawyer, Raymond Kim, a stone-faced veteran of messy divorces, placed a calming hand on his arm. My client doesn't need to explain normal marital behavior. Normal? Ellis arched an eyebrow. Let's talk about normal, then. Mrs. Cole has provided documentation of your increasingly erratic work schedule, missed parent-teacher conferences, and what appears to be digital surveillance equipment purchased on your joint credit card. Is this your definition of normal, Mr. Cole? Ethan leaned forward, allowing his voice to crack slightly. I was concerned about our home security. After the break-in 2 streets over, There was no break-in reported in your neighborhood in the past 6 months, Mr. Cole. Ethan blinked rapidly as if caught in a lie. In his peripheral vision, he saw Sabrina's slight smile. She thought she was winning. Later that night, his phone rang. It's Raymond. You're playing a dangerous game, Ethan. They're building a case that you're paranoid, possibly even dangerous. Sabrina's filing for an emergency custody hearing. Let her, Ethan said. She's claiming she's pregnant and afraid for the baby's safety. Is she now? A pause. Ethan, what aren't you telling me? I need you to trust me, Raymond. When she presents the pregnancy in court, I want you to request immediate verification. Medical records, doctor testimony, push hard on it. There's something else you should know, Raymond added. They filed a modified prenuptial agreement with the court. There's a clause about emotional distress and professional instability. I know. You know? Raymond sounded suspicious. Ethan, if you've been accessing her private files, I haven't done anything illegal, Ethan said carefully. Just be ready. This is about to get complicated. The next day, Sabrina escalated dramatically. Ethan returned home from picking up Lucas from school to find police cars in their driveway. An officer approached as he helped his son out of the car. Mr. Cole, we need to speak with you regarding a threatening message your wife received. Lucas looked up, confused. Dad, what's happening? Ethan knelt to eye level with his son. It's just a misunderstanding, buddy. Can you go inside with Officer... He glanced at the female officer's nameplate. Officer Garcia? She'll get you a snack while I talk to these officers. After Lucas was safely inside, Ethan faced the remaining officers. What threatening message? Your wife received a voice message today. She says it's your voice, threatening to make her disappear if she proceeds with divorce. The senior officer played the recording. It was unmistakably Ethan's voice. You think anyone will believe you? I'll make you disappear before I let you take my son. This is your last warning. Ethan felt a chill. It sounded exactly like him. The cadence, the tone. But he'd never said those words. That's not me, he said calmly. When was this message supposedly received? This morning at 10:17 a.m. Ethan nodded slowly. I was in a client meeting from 9:30 until 11:45. 20 people can confirm it, including the CEO of Westlake Security. The officers exchanged glances. There's something else, Ethan added. That voice message. It's AI generated. I bet my life on it. That's a serious accusation, Mr. Cole. Check the metadata, Ethan insisted. Voice messages have artifacts, background noise, compression patterns. This won't have any, because it was created using text-to-speech technology, probably through an app called Deep Voice. My company warns clients about this exact type of manipulation. The officers didn't arrest him that day, but they left with a warning. As they pulled away, Ethan's phone pinged with an email from his data forensics contact. Analysis complete. Voice file metadata shows creation 4 hours before it was allegedly received. 0 background noise. 99.8% certainty. Synthetic voice generation. Ethan forwarded it directly to his lawyer with a single line. Time to counter. The temporary restraining order hit Ethan like a physical blow, barring him from his own home and limiting access to Lucas to supervised visits twice weekly. Sabrina had moved quickly after the voice message incident, painting herself as a terrified pregnant woman fearing for her safety. Ethan didn't fight it, yet. Instead, he moved into his secret apartment full-time and accelerated his plans. First, he contacted Alexis Winters, head of marketing at Luminous Living, Sabrina's biggest sponsor. Miss Winters, I'm Ethan Cole. We met at the brand retreat last summer. Of course, Ethan. Is everything okay? We've heard concerning things from Sabrina about your situation. I imagine you have, he replied evenly. That's actually why I'm calling. As Luminous Living's ethics officer, you should be aware of some information before you finalize next quarter's contracts. What kind of information? The kind that violates your morality clause. I've sent an email with attachments. I suggest reviewing it privately. The email contained carefully selected communications. Sabrina coaching Jason on how to backdate brand posts to remove Ethan's presence, text exchanges planning how to manipulate the court for financial gain, and, most damning, strategy discussions about leveraging sympathy from a fake pregnancy to boost her resilient single mom rebrand. By the next morning, 4 of Sabrina's 6 major sponsors had placed their contracts under review. Ethan's phone rang. Sabrina. He let it go to voicemail. You miserable, pathetic piece of crap! Her voice hissed through the speaker. You think ruining my business will help you? You've just proven everything I've been saying. You're unhinged. Call me back now, or I swear to God. Ethan saved the message and sent it to Raymond. 2 days later, they faced each other in family court for the emergency custody hearing. Sabrina had dressed the part perfectly. Conservative navy dress, minimal makeup, hair pulled back, the frightened mother-to-be. Ethan had chosen a suit one size too large, his tie slightly askew. The struggling, destabilized father. Judge Rosario Martinez, a stern woman with 20 years on the bench, studied both parties with calculating eyes. Mrs. Cole, you're requesting exclusive custody of Lucas Cole based on concerns about Mr. Cole's mental stability and alleged threats. Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor, Sabrina's voice quavered perfectly. I fear for both Lucas's safety and that of my unborn child. And this pregnancy, how far along are you? Almost 3 months, Your Honor. Judge Martinez nodded. Mr. Kim, your response? Raymond stood. Your Honor, we request verification of Mrs. Cole's pregnancy claim through official medical records and testimony from her treating physician. Sabrina's attorney jumped in. Your Honor, this is an obvious attempt to threaten my client during a vulnerable time. The pregnancy is central to Mrs. Cole's claim of urgency, Raymond countered. If she's using it as a factor in determining custody, its verification is not intimidation, but due diligence. Judge Martinez considered this. I agree. Mrs. Cole, please have your physician submit documentation by tomorrow morning. Now, regarding the threatening message, Your Honor, Raymond interrupted. We've submitted forensic analysis showing the voice message was artificially generated hours before it was allegedly received. The judge frowned. Miss Patel, have you reviewed this evidence? We contest its validity, Your Honor. Then you won't object to court-appointed experts examining it, Judge Martinez said firmly. Now, Mr. Cole, these surveillance purchases? Ethan had been waiting for this moment. He leaned forward, letting his voice break. Your Honor, I was afraid. Things kept disappearing, moving, important documents. At first, I thought I was losing my mind. Then I found... He trailed off, looking down. Found what, Mr. Cole? Evidence of people in my house when no one should be there? He looked up, eyes wet with genuine tears, though not for the reasons the court assumed. I just wanted to protect my family. The performance was perfect. Sabrina's face showed momentary confusion before settling back into practiced concern. The judge made a note, then looked up. Very well, we'll reconvene tomorrow morning. Mrs. Cole, be prepared to submit full medical documentation. As they exited the courtroom, Ethan caught a glimpse of Sabrina whispering urgently to her lawyer, her confidence visibly shaken. He didn't say a word. He didn't need to. The next morning, Sabrina's doctor appeared. Dr. Sarah Vaughn, a petite woman with nervous eyes who presented ultrasound images and sworn testimony about Sabrina's pregnancy. Raymond approached for cross-examination. Dr. Vaughn, how long have you been Mrs. Cole's physician? About 4 months. And your relationship to Mrs. Cole outside of your professional capacity? Dr. Vaughn shifted. I don't understand the question. Let me clarify. Are you and Mrs. Cole cousins? The courtroom went silent. Second cousins, yes, but that's not... Your Honor, Raymond said. I'd like to enter Exhibit C, a complaint filed with the Medical Board of Ohio regarding Dr. Sarah Vaughn practicing outside her certification area. Dr. Vaughn is a dermatologist, not an OB-GYN. Chaos erupted. Judge Martinez banged her gavel repeatedly. Dr. Vaughn, are you testifying about a pregnancy outside your medical specialty? Dr. Vaughn paled. I was consulting with an OB-GYN colleague. Name? Judge Martinez demanded. Dr. Wilson at Lakeside Women's Health. Raymond smiled thinly. Your Honor, we contacted Lakeside yesterday. They have no record of Sabrina Cole as a patient, nor any consultation between Dr. Wilson and Dr. Vaughn. Judge Martinez's expression darkened dangerously. Dr. Vaughn, I'm referring this matter to the district attorney for potential perjury charges. Mrs. Cole approached the bench. The judge leaned forward, voice low but intense enough for Ethan to hear. If you have falsified evidence in my courtroom, the consequences will be severe. We will reconvene tomorrow with a court-appointed medical examiner. These proceedings are suspended until then. As the courtroom cleared, Ethan caught Sabrina's gaze. For the first time, he saw fear in her eyes. Good. The following day, Sabrina didn't appear for the court-ordered examination. Instead, her attorney filed an emergency motion citing extreme stress causing medical complications. Judge Martinez was unmoved. Unless she's physically in a hospital bed, which you will need to prove with admitting paperwork, she will appear for examination at 2 p.m. today or face contempt charges. At 1:58 p.m., Sabrina entered the examination room. At 3:17 p.m., the court reconvened. The medical examiner's testimony was clinical and devastating. Based on blood work and ultrasound examination, Mrs. Cole shows no biological indicators of pregnancy. HCG levels are consistent with artificial manipulation via commonly available products designed to produce false positives on home tests. Judge Martinez's voice could have frozen fire. Mrs. Cole, do you understand the seriousness of falsifying a pregnancy in custody proceedings? Sabrina's composure finally cracked. Your Honor, there must be some mistake. I had positive tests. Save it, the judge snapped. Mr. Kim, your motion? Raymond stood. In light of these developments, we move for immediate dismissal of the temporary restraining order, restoration of Mr. Cole's custody rights, and investigation into perjury and evidence tampering. Granted, Judge Martinez said without hesitation. Additionally, I'm ordering all documents submitted by Mrs. Cole's team to undergo forensic verification, including the modified prenuptial agreement. Sabrina's attorney looked stricken. Your Honor, regarding the prenup? Yes, Miss Patel? We may need time to verify its provenance. Judge Martinez's eyes narrowed. You presented it as verified evidence. New information has come to light. Enough, the judge cut her off. Mr. Cole, you're free to return home. Mrs. Cole will vacate the premises until our next hearing. Court-appointed supervision will oversee the exchange of your son between parents. As they left the courtroom, Ethan passed Sabrina in the hallway. She grabbed his arm, nails digging through his suit jacket. You think you won? She hissed. This isn't over. Not even close. Ethan looked down at her hand, then into her eyes. You're right about one thing, he said quietly. This isn't over. The mediation room at martial law offices gleamed with polished mahogany and leather chairs. Ethan arrived early, nodding to Raymond as they reviewed final preparations. Are you absolutely certain about this approach? Raymond asked, concern etching his features. Mediation is usually private for good reason. I'm certain, Ethan replied. The witnesses? All here as requested. Though I still don't understand why you want Sabrina's sponsors present. Ethan's smile didn't reach his eyes. Transparency. 20 minutes later, Sabrina entered with her attorney, faltering momentarily at the sight of additional people in the room. Representatives from her major brand partnerships, the court-appointed custody evaluator, and a distinguished-looking man Sabrina clearly recognized, her expression shifting from confusion to alarm. What is Judge Harmon doing here? She whispered furiously to her lawyer. He's not assigned to our case. Ellis Patel looked equally bewildered. I don't know. Mr. Kim, what is the meaning of this? Mediation is supposed to be confidential. Raymond gestured to Ethan, who stood and buttoned his jacket. Actually, both parties must agree to confidentiality. I've requested an open mediation with observers. Absolutely not, Ellis objected. Then we can return to court, Ethan said calmly, where Judge Martinez is quite interested in the pattern of falsified evidence. Sabrina and Ellis whispered intensely before Ellis straightened. Fine. Let's proceed. The mediator, a former judge named Lowell, began with standard introductions. We're here to see if an amicable resolution can be reached regarding property division, custody arrangements, and... I have a proposal, Ethan interrupted, sliding folders across the table. Everything laid out clearly. Sabrina opened her folder, eyes darting across pages. This is ridiculous. You get the house? Full custody? This is nothing but... Before you continue, Ethan cut in, I'd like to address some documentation issues. He pressed a button on his laptop, and the wall screen illuminated with a split image. The prenuptial agreement they'd signed 10 years ago on the left, the modified version Sabrina had submitted to the court on the right. Digital forensics confirmed what I already knew, Ethan explained, voice steady. The modified document was created 4 months ago on Sabrina's laptop. The signature, my signature, was copied from our home insurance renewal. Ellis Patel paled. Mrs. Cole provided this document to me in good faith. Did she? Ethan raised an eyebrow. Because I have an audio recording suggesting otherwise. He played a clip of Sabrina's voice. Derek's handling the prenup modification. He says with the right backdate and your Photoshop skills, no one will question it. Derek Mercer, conspicuously absent from the mediation, was prominently featured in the next piece of evidence. Security footage showing him entering and leaving the Cole residence on multiple occasions, always when Ethan was known to be at work. Falsifying legal documents is a felony, Ethan noted, glancing at retired Judge Harmon, who nodded gravely, as is conspiracy to commit fraud. Sabrina's face contorted with fury. You spied on me? Recorded private conversations? That's illegal. Actually, Raymond interjected, Ohio is a one-party consent state for recordings, and the cameras were legally installed security devices in Mr. Cole's own home. Ethan continued relentlessly. Then there's the matter of the pregnancy fraud. Not just lying to me, but presenting false medical testimony in court. You can't prove DNA results, Ethan interrupted, sliding another document forward. From the paternity test. Sabrina blinked. What paternity test? The one comparing my DNA with that of the fetus you actually were carrying 3 months ago? The one you terminated 2 weeks before our court date. The room went deathly silent. Medical records from Westview Women's Clinic, Ethan continued, his voice hollow. A procedure on April 7th. The DNA sample obtained with a warrant shows the father was Jason Brenner, not me. Sabrina's face drained of color. How did you... You forgot about the medical proxy documents we signed, Ethan explained. I'm still legally authorized to access your records in certain circumstances, like suspected insurance fraud. The representatives from Luminous Living and other brand partnerships exchanged troubled glances. Mr. Cole, the mediator intervened. What exactly are you seeking here? Ethan leaned forward. Accountability. He played his final recording, a phone call between Sabrina and Jason Brenner from the previous evening. Sabrina. That witch Martinez thinks she's so smart. Once we get a different judge. Jason, we will? Derek's handling it. Sabrina. I want the house. I want Lucas. And I want Ethan destroyed. Jason. What about us? The baby? Sabrina. There is no baby anymore. Keep up, Jason. We adapt the narrative. Stress-induced miscarriage caused by abusive husband. The sponsors will eat it up. As the recording ended, the Luminous Living representative stood abruptly. Mrs. Cole, consider your contract terminated, effective immediately. We'll be seeking damages for misrepresentation. Others followed suit, a cascade of professional relationships disintegrating before her eyes. Sabrina lunged across the table, fingers curved like claws. You ruined everything, she screamed, her composure completely shattered. Ethan didn't flinch as security personnel restrained her. No, Sabrina, you did that yourself. 2 hours later, in the aftermath of Sabrina's meltdown, Ethan stood in the hallway speaking quietly with Raymond. She's agreed to the terms, Raymond confirmed. Full custody of Lucas to you. The house and all major assets remain yours. She keeps only her personal belongings and her now worthless brand. And the charges? The DA is reviewing evidence for potential fraud and perjury charges. Derek Mercer has already been reported to the Bar Association. As for Jason Brenner, he's facing his own legal troubles for breach of contract with several clients. Ethan nodded, feeling hollow despite his victory. And Sabrina? Raymond hesitated. She's not well, Ethan. That breakdown wasn't entirely an act. Through the conference room window, Ethan could see Sabrina sitting alone, shoulders curved inward, staring at nothing. The woman he'd once loved enough to build a life with, reduced to a stranger, plotting his destruction. He thought he'd feel triumph in this moment. Instead, he felt only exhaustion. Dad! Lucas's voice cut through his thoughts as his son ran down the hallway, accompanied by Ethan's sister Kate, who had been caring for him during the proceedings. Ethan knelt, gathering Lucas into a tight embrace. Hey, buddy. Is it over? Lucas asked, his 7-year-old face serious beyond his years. Can we go home now? Ethan glanced once more through the window at Sabrina, who was now watching them, her expression unreadable. Yeah, we can go home. As they walked toward the exit, Sabrina emerged from the conference room. Lucas, she called, voice breaking. Come give Mommy a hug before you go. Lucas looked up at Ethan, uncertainty in his eyes. Ethan nodded. It's okay. As Lucas hugged his mother, Sabrina looked over their son's head at Ethan. I never meant for it to go this far, she whispered. Yes, you did, Ethan replied quietly. You planned every step. I loved you once, she said, a tear tracking down her cheek. Before all this, maybe, Ethan conceded. But love doesn't justify destruction. When Lucas returned to his side, Ethan took his son's hand. Ready to go? What about Mom? Lucas asked. Ethan met Sabrina's gaze one final time. Your mom needs to figure some things out, but she'll always be your mother. As they walked away, Sabrina called after him. You've ruined me, Ethan. Are you happy now? Ethan paused without turning. No, Sabrina. I just showed the world who you really are. Outside, the summer sunset painted the sky in shades of fire as Ethan helped Lucas into the truck. The weight of the past months, the surveillance, the evidence gathering, the calculated performance of a man coming apart, lifted slightly as he settled behind the wheel. Dad, Lucas asked as they pulled away from the law office, are we going to be okay? Ethan looked at his son, the one true thing in a world of fabrications, and felt the first genuine smile in months. Yeah, buddy, we're going to be just fine. Later that night, after Lucas was asleep, Ethan stood in the backyard with their wedding album in his hands. The leather-bound collection of smiling photos and handwritten promises felt like artifacts from someone else's life. He opened the grill, placed the album inside, and struck a match. As flames consumed the pages, he didn't feel the satisfaction he'd imagined. Only resolution. His phone buzzed with a text from Raymond. Sabrina's lawyer called. They want to revisit visitation rights. Ethan watched the last wedding photo curl and blacken. Standard visitation schedule, he replied. Supervised until further notice. I won't use our son as a weapon. He closed the grill, letting darkness envelop him as the fire died down. The path of vengeance had been necessary, but it was finished now. What remained was rebuilding, not the marriage or the illusions, but something honest for himself and Lucas. The sound of the back door opening made him turn. Lucas stood there in dinosaur pajamas, rubbing his eyes. I had a bad dream, he said. Can I stay up with you for a little while? Ethan nodded, extending his hand. Sure, buddy. How about some hot chocolate? As they walked back to the house together, Ethan glanced over his shoulder at the grill, where the last embers of his former life were fading to ash. Sometimes destruction was necessary before rebuilding could begin.